Hello everyone, Silent here, and welcome back to another episode of Bugrock of the Week. Today we're taking a look at the newest 1.16 Nether update beta for the Bedrock edition of Minecraft, and that is beta 1.16.0.61. This is actually a very promising beta with a ton of amazing bug fixes. There have been some changes to the mob despawning mechanics. There have also been bug fixes for a few different redstone things, some fixes for different farms in the game, and overall just a whole bunch of really nice fixes. Keep in mind that we'll be covering a bunch of bug fixes in today's video, and if you find any bugs that aren't fully fixed, or if you find a niche case where you can reproduce a bug that should have been fixed, then of course make sure to update the bug tracker. The bug report links for everything that we talk about in today's video will be linked down below for your convenience, and also if you're playing in these 1.16 betas, make sure to report any bugs that you find to the bug tracker. A tutorial on how to make bug reports can be found in the description of this video. So let's go ahead and talk about the biggest changes in today's beta, and that has to do with a bunch of mob despawning changes. Of course, mob despawning is one of the biggest things that Bedrock Edition has needed for the longest time, and they are finally working on it. It's really positive to see. Now, we don't have a ton of information about the changes that have been made in today's beta, but we do have a little bit of a clue as to what they've done in the changelogs. As you can see, mob despawn range is now tied to simulation range, and that's literally all we got. I have contacted the developers asking for a few more details, seeing if we can get exact distances for all of these simulation distances, but so far I haven't heard back from them. As soon as I have some really solid concrete information to give you guys, I will post it in a Bugrock video for your convenience, trying to keep you guys as updated as I possibly can. Before we get into any of the distances and speculation about all of this stuff, we do need to mention one bug in this beta, and that is that the despawn range has actually been shrank to about 48 or so blocks. Meanwhile, mobs can still spawn up to 54 blocks away while you're on a simulation distance of 4. So what this allows to happen is basically mobs can spawn and then instantly despawn. You can see that a couple times over here. Mobs flash into existence and then get instantly despawned. It's not very good. That is almost certainly 100% a bug. Don't worry about it. They will fix it. So let's talk about what it means for despawning to be tied to your simulation distance. This is actually a really good, really positive change for Bedrock Edition, and is going to offer a lot more flexibility for all kinds of devices, players, servers, and play styles, not to mention all different kinds of mob farms as well. So what you can see before us here is the, kind of demonstration area that I've got set up. When I'm talking about these distances and simulation distances, always assume that the player is right there in the center. You can see that I've marked out the 4 chunk simulation distance right here in iron blocks, and this is the minimum simulation distance for Bedrock Edition and the minimum amount of the world that will ever be loaded. Right around here, you can see the despawn spheres. This red one is 54 blocks away, and that is the minimum distance that mobs will instantly despawn from the player. So that's the basics of what they've already added in previous betas. The new changes for today allow you to actually expand these despawn spheres. So if you go to like a 6 chunk assimilation distance, for example, the despawn sphere would actually expand to around 80 or so blocks, I would assume. If you go out to an 8 chunk simulation distance, then you're getting a near 100 block despawn sphere. And then if you go out to 10 and 12 chunks, then you're nearing a 128 for your radius. I don't have exact distances. I would be very surprised if anyone does, due to just Bedrock Edition being weird at the moment in these betas, but that is essentially what's happening. The more simulation distance you have, the further away mobs will despawn from the player, and the further away they will also be able to spawn. So I went ahead and marked out the simulation distances of Bedrock Edition. In iron, we have a 4 chunk simulation, and gold we have 6 chunk, and emerald we have 8 chunk, lapis is 10 chunks, and diamond blocks is 12 chunks. So first of all, that red line right there, the furthest away from us is 128 blocks despawn radius. So that would be in parity with Java Edition, meaning that any mobs that get further than 128 blocks from the player would instantly despawn. This is ideal. This is what we're kind of going for on Bedrock Edition, but as you can see, to make that a possibility, you actually need 12 chunk simulation distance just for that to work, because it would actually clip into unloaded chunks if you were playing on 10 chunk simulation. Now, of course, you could shrink that down to like maybe 120 and have it work on a 10 chunk. But yeah, as you can see, if you want full Java parity, it's simply not going to happen. So of course, I've laid out all the different simulation distances, but I have absolutely no concrete evidence for what the despawn, random despawn, safe zones, or spawning spheres are for any of the different simulation distances. The literal only information that we know is from previous updates, where we have the 4 sim distance information. As you can see, we got the standard 0 to 24 safe area, 24 to 32 no random despawn, 32 to 54 random despawn, and then 54 plus blocks away is instant despawn. We don't have any information for 6, 8, 10, or 12 chunk simulation distances, and as soon as I know anything about those, I will share it with you. But until then, that's really all there is to say about the despawning changes. It's a very positive step in the right direction. That being said, I do have a little bit of feedback for the despawning on Bedrock Edition. One change that I think would be very important is the distances that entities start unrendering. Not despawning, just where they unrender so that you can no longer see them. No matter what your simulation distance is, they'll always unrender at around 64-ish blocks, so you can see that we can walk away from these guys and they're all going to start unrendering one chunk at a time. Of course, the mobs are still actually there, they're just unrendered, and this makes it incredibly hard to tell where mobs actually are in your world. Makes it very hard to tell if they've despawned or if they just unrendered, and I think that the higher your simulation distance, the further away you should be able to see mobs in your world. And the next thing that we need to talk about is these wither skulls. These things absolutely should be added to the despawn list. These things fly off into unloaded chunks forever, especially in the end dimension, and they're literally just there existing when they should not. So wither skulls and the wither skull dangerous and all of those things should absolutely be added to the despawn list. There's no reason for them not to be. They're not gonna go off and like hit something important, most likely, especially if you're fighting one in the overworld. All of these things are mostly going to go vertically up into the sky. You will never see them again, but they will still exist in your world. So these definitely should be added to the despawn list. That would be a much appreciated thing. One of the biggest and most widespread issues with Redstone on Bedrock Edition has finally been fixed, or so they say. We'll need a lot of testing to confirm that it's been fully fixed. However, Redstone should no longer break on chunk borders. So to explain how this happens is typically whenever you have redstone components going across a chunk border and you unload and reload the area a whole bunch of times, that redstone can break and either get stuck on or get stuck off until you break the components and update them. This bug is really a massive plague on Bedrock Edition. It's hard to reproduce, but it affects basically all machines in the game that use basic redstone components. And this bug has finally been fixed and it should no longer be an issue in the game, and I am massively excited for this. This is going to make redstone just that much more reliable and user-friendly on the platform. To give you an actual demonstration of this bug, this is typically how it would look in your Minecraft world. You would have a redstone circuit with a redstone component, like a redstone torch, and then a chunk border would be going through your circuit. Whenever you try to power or unpower your redstone components, they would not update at all. What you would need to do is remove your component and then place it back down, and then it would actually start working properly. If you saw the most recent episode of Bugrock where we covered the 1.16.0.60 beta, that is quite a mouthful, then you'll know that all of the animations in the game, or most of them at least, were completely broken, and they've fixed all of those issues in today's beta. So as you see, Nether Portals, sea lanterns, prismarine, fire, water, kelp, seagrass, lava, campfires, etc, etc, etc. All of these things now have the proper animations again, beacon beams have returned, paintings are working again, maps are functional yet again, and so are fireworks. So basically, literally everything that they broke in the last beta having to do with graphics has been fixed, which is very promising. Another change having to do with mob spawning is that armor stands will now no longer take up room in the mob cap. Yes, You heard that right. Armor stands used to take up the mob cap in your world on Bedrock Edition. Why was that ever a thing? I don't know. Armor stands are so creepy and weird on Bedrock Edition, it's not even funny. But yeah, these guys no longer affect the mob cap, meaning that you can have as many of these as your world can handle without affecting mob farms or the global cap or anything like that. Even more issues have been fixed with villagers in this beta. Mojang is really going ham on the villager fixes, which is great to see. This is like the 5th or 6th thing that they've fixed with villagers. So basically, we're getting Village and Pillage 2.0 on Bedrock Edition. It is very nice to see. Anyway, today they're targeting the linking issues of villagers to workstations and to beds, specifically on multiplayer worlds. If you've tried messing with villagers at all, then you know that the linking is pretty much the worst thing in the world, and it hardly ever works, especially when you want it to. So it's a really good sign that they're taking a look at the linking issues, trying to fix that up, make it a lot better, and hopefully we won't see as many linking issues in the future. An extremely important bug having to do with Nether Portals has been fixed, and this is probably one of the most important bugs that I've seen in these 1.16 betas. So the bug was that anytime an entity goes through a Nether Portal before a player, as soon as the player goes through the portal, the game would instantly crash. This was a very widespread problem in the recent betas. However, it does appear to be properly fixed, so we can send through as many entities as we like, and of course, this is going to allow a ton of our standard mob farms to work in the next update. This bug won't be breaking any farms, which is very good to hear. Anyway, as you can see, we sent through a ton of mobs. All these guys are here. We did not crash, and I think that that is a successful bug fix. We've gotten yet another fix for kelp farms in the 1.16 betas, or rather, I should say, an attempted fix. For this demo, we're running the game on 1000 random tick speed, 1000 times faster than normal, and as you can see, the bug with kelp not growing is still in the game. It doesn't happen nearly as often, but it does still happen. As you can see, this one is stuck growing at 2 blocks tall. It's just not very fun. It happens quite a bit. And yeah, this is like the 2nd or 3rd time that Mojang has tried fixing it. Still in the game, still needs some more work. After 11 updates, they have finally fixed the red and the brown mushrooms of Bedrock Edition. So if we mine these guys with a Silk Touch axe, you'll see that we get the proper red mushroom blocks and the stem blocks, which is a miracle. Not only that, these stem blocks are from 2 different mushroom types stacked together. It's an absolute insane thing to see. And if you mine the brown blocks, look at this. It's beautiful. They actually dropped the brown blocks. Not only that, but if you buy this bug fix today, when you place all these blocks and you mine them again with Silk Touch, they'll all drop what they're supposed to. It's actually a miracle. 11 updates. 1.5 introduced this bug, and it has finally been fixed in the 1.16 betas after several attempted bug fixes. And now they just need to add the features from Java Edition, where if you place the blocks next to the mushroom blocks, they change texture. Dang it, I spoke too soon. The spore mushrooms still have the brown mushroom blocks to drop when you Silk Touch them. Ah, that's not even fixed yet. Okay. Oh, I'm done with this bug. Oh my god. 11 major updates later, and it's still in the game. Ah! Another very nice bug fix in this beta is that when flying into unloaded chunks, you will no longer hit an invisible barrier and die from kinetic energy. As you can see, we're flying into unloaded chunks here. They're loading up behind me, and I'm not hitting any barriers. I'm not going to die in survival. And if you play on a multiplayer server or a realm, you've almost certainly run into this bug, and that is a very much appreciated fix. A pretty small bug fix having to do with the curse of vanishing on armors and weapons. Whenever you drop them on the floor, they will no longer get instantly deleted, which was a bug in previous betas. And this also has to do for like chests and stuff. You can break chests with vanishing armor, and they will no longer get deleted. And just to make sure that vanishing is still working properly, let's go ahead and put on some pants. We're going to throw the rest of this stuff over there so we don't get confused. And let's go ahead and kill ourselves. Bam! Great. Keep inventories on, but it should still be vanishing. Maybe that's a bug, maybe it's not, I'm not sure, I'm very far away. Anyway, here we go, killing ourselves with full vanishing armor, respawning, and we don't have any of it, so it looks like it's working properly. The bug where full netherite armor could make you completely immune to fall damage has been removed from the game, so if we teleport ourselves 103 blocks up into the air, as you can see, we will take 9.5 hearts of damage. In previous betas, you wouldn't take any damage at all, no matter how far you fell. They have fixed another really awesome bug having to do with fall damage. Fall damage is no longer randomized on Bedrock Edition, which is really amazing. This has been around since basically forever. Whenever you would fall in the game, you would take a random amount of damage, which is completely unfair and unnatural, and now it matches perfectly with the amount of fall damage that you should take, and matches perfectly with Java Edition. So as you can see, falling 30 blocks with a fully enchanted set of netherite armor will only deal 2.5 hearts of damage, matching Java Edition. I'm extremely excited for this fix. It is a wonderful game balance addition, and it'll just make the game a whole lot more fair in so many different situations. Gravity is mean, and this bug fix makes it a little bit less mean. Of course, make sure to check out all the bug report links and feedback posted down in the description of the video. If you find any bugs that were not fully fixed, then please update the bug reports. That is very, very important to make sure that all the bugs get fully fixed when the update releases. Otherwise, that's going to do it for today's episode. I hope that you have enjoyed. Again, once I get more information about despawning, I will let you know in the next video. Otherwise, again, if you did enjoy today's video, leave a like. It helps out the video and the channel significantly. If you are new here, then make sure to subscribe so you don't miss future videos on the channel. And I'll see you all down in the comments and in the next one. And then there was silence.